Have you ever wanted to rest? I'm not just talking about taking a nap on a couch on a Sunday afternoon or laying on a hammock on a beach somewhere, but I'm talking about truly resting. That kind of rest that restores your body and soul, that kind of rest that brings energy, not just for the next moment, but for the next week. Have you ever desired that rest? To experience that rest? If your answer is yes, fantastic. You've felt that before, and that's awesome. But if you've never experienced that true deep rest before, have you ever thought about why you haven't felt it before or experienced it? Have you ever thought to stop and analyze your schedule and ask yourself, why do I feel constantly depleted? We live in a society that tells us more is better. Work more and you'll get a promotion. Get your kids more lessons and they'll make a career out of it. Go purchase the latest item in fashion and you'll be on the cutting edge before everyone else jumps on the bandwagon. Get the newest tech because it will increase the efficiency and simplicity of your life. But instead, what do all these things actually do? They cause us to be tossed around by the desires of our brokenness and feel like we will never be satisfied. We end up experiencing anxiety that we won't fit in, or fear that we'll get passed by and miss out on something cool or an exciting opportunity. Thomas Aquinas once asked the question, what would satisfy our desire? His answer, everything. We always want more money, more power, more time, more pleasure. We are always wanting more. The desire for more turns us into slaves. We're bonded to things that on the surface seem to satisfy, but once we attain them, we feel that the need and our desires are still there. Our desire is infinite. So what is the solution? Sabbath. Sabbath is one day a week that is set apart from the rest. It's intentionally woven into the fabric of creation from the beginning of time. In Genesis 2, when God finished his creating work, he rested. He did not keep going to speed up the process to which he originally began. Now you might be thinking, that's God. Where else does the Bible talk about Sabbath? In Deuteronomy 5, when the Israelites are receiving the 10 Commandments for the second time, God says to them, observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy, as the Lord your God has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your ox, your donkey, or any of your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns, so that your male and female slaves may rest, as you do. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and that the Lord your God brought you out of there with a mighty hand and outstretched arm. Therefore, the Lord your God has commanded you to observe the Sabbath day. The purpose behind this command is for the Israelites to experience rest and to celebrate that they are no longer slaves in Egypt. God said, you know what it's like to be a slave, so do not become one again, and you yourselves do not become a slave master, making your servants work for you on the Sabbath. Do you ever feel like a slave? Do you ever feel like you are shackled to things in life? We may not experience physical slavery, but to some degree, we are all slaves to something. Work, addictions, full calendar, scrolling. Perhaps on the surface, some of these things may not be terrible, like having your kids in some sort of activity every night of the week or constantly giving your time to serve and volunteer. But when we take a step back and look at our lives and realize that there is no margin for rest and that we actually stay busy to validate ourselves by doing more so that people will be in awe of what we can actually accomplish in a week. But it leaves us drained. If you've ever felt the sense of being depleted, of exhaustion, or feeling worn out, listen to how Eugene Peterson paraphrases the words of Jesus in Matthew 11. It says, are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. My favorite way to describe the Sabbath was said by Andy Crouch when he said, "Sabbath is my testimony that I am not God." It's when we choose to rest in the midst of our chaotic world, knowing that the world continues on without us there, and that God is actually still at work when we are resting. And if the creator of the universe chooses to rest, then we should follow his example as well. The Sabbath literally means to stop, rest, delight, and worship. It's a 24-hour period where we ignore the I have tos and delight in the I get tos. It's a day for play, indulgence, joy, and laughter. A day that is radically different than the other 6. Not one that's full of rules and how to do it properly, but instead one that is filled with creativity, awe, and wonder. It's a day we look forward to with anticipation the last half of the week, and a day that we fondly remember in the first half of the week. So then what does Sabbath look like? For some, it may be a day where you engage in conversations with people that bring you joy. For others, it may be being outside in nature and soaking in the majesty of creation. For me and my family, part of the day is we start by making a big breakfast. We take longer to do this, and we fill the table with some of our favorite things. Now, depending on your stage of life, Sabbath will look different for you. A single working professional in their 30s will most likely experience Sabbath differently than an elderly couple or a couple with children. And that's fine. All that matters is that you take time to stop, rest, delight, and worship. Be creative. Do this in community and with families or friends, and remember that the Sabbath was made for mankind, not mankind for Sabbath.